Yes, welcome to Legal Matters. We're bringing you our immigration update. My name is David Darko from Justice and Law Solicitors. You can share the program on YouTube and also on Facebook as well as on TikTok. I believe that the setup is all working good today. I don't think you will have any problems. Share the program as much as you can because we are going to give you a blast. Tell a brother to tell a sister that we are back live from the studios of Justice and Law Solicitors. Yes, what we have today is wonderful. We are going to be talking about the rights and also unlawful deduction of wages for skilled workers. There is a breaking news, a case that went before the Employment Tribunal. We are bringing you from A to Z. So if you have a brother, a sister who is working in the care industry, they came with COS. I don't call it COS no more. I call it SOS because it has become an emergency. Tell him, tell her to tune in to Facebook, TikTok, and also YouTube and listen to the voice of legal reason, David Darko of Justice and Law Solicitors this afternoon. Justice and Law Solicitors yema emraye de shie. Yes, we're also bringing you interview, mastering interview skills. These days, if you are coming in or you are applying for skilled worker visa, I would say 7 out of 10, you'll be called to come to an interview. How do you master interview techniques? It's coming your way. Yes, I am the only one who is the dancing lawyer. Hey, baby fire, good morning to you. I know that you are tuning in and you are dancing to the tune. Also, is it possible to go back home and apply to come back in as a spouse? Take it into consideration. There is a mandatory ban for people who are overstayed their visas or those who entered the UK illegally. Yes, let's bring you the immigration update and also highlights of the week. Yes, here with the Ampa. If you love it, always tune into Justice and Law broadcast on Facebook, TikTok, and also on YouTube. The name is David Daku, D to the power of 2. We bring you the undiluted legal information from Justice and Law solicitors. Stay tuned, join us every single week because we will do the best that we can to keep you up to date on all UK immigration and nationality law matters. On the 11th of June, the Immigration Enforcement Unit went on undercover to DPD warehouses and some arrests were made. And let's look at the breakdown of the number of people who got arrested. That is on the 11th of June 2026 of the year of our Lord. The areas that they went to is Basingstoke, Hampshire, and Newbury, Berkshire. So all the shire places is where they went to. And basically, there was an immigration raid and a number of people were detained by the Home Office. A lot of people went through checks, and so far the information that we have suggests that 9 people were apprehended. One of them was a Ghanaian. Majority of them were from India and Pakistan, according to the BBC. Only one Ghanaian and one Pakistani. The rest of them was were an Indian nationals, and basically is going through an investigation. They are going through investigation. Only God knows what is going to happen to these people. And Home Office have said that they are investigating their immigration status. So it's not very clear as to whether in fact they were illegal. They were illegally working, or perhaps they were unable to explain themselves properly and therefore leading to an investigation. When we have further information, by all means, we will bring this to you. Now, the law is that if you employ an illegal immigrant, the company in question can be fined at least about £60,000. pounds per each worker. So it is for this reason that employers these days, they get agitated when individual's visa is about to expire or the individual is unable to show evidence that they are working or show evidence that they are allowed to work. So if you're watching me and you have about 2 months to go and the employer write a letter to you and say, look, your visa is about to expire, and for that reason you must bring evidence of your right to work, I don't think you should be agitated by that. I do not think you should get upset by that, in the sense that if you are caught working illegally, they will be fined at least up to about £60,000. So we need to understand the plight of the employer. At the end of the day, if you are working for them, do you think the profit that you are going to make for them will be up to £60,000 per year? It's debatable. Some will say I make more than that. Some will argue. But to be on the safe side, if an employer is pushing for you to get your evidence or to put in your application, I don't think we should blame employers for being on our backs. And sometimes it also acts as a reminder, because it's very, very, very simple and very, very easy to forget that you need to renew your visa. Someone is watching me and say that, hey, how is that possible? Because the very visa that allows you to stay in the country, you are unable to renew it on time. It's not possible, in the sense that that is your visa, and therefore you must ensure that you renew it. But the reality is that we are human beings, we can forget. And we also have something that when you are living good, you forget about realities and harshness of life. And therefore, people tend to forget some of these things. And therefore, when the employer reminds you, I think you should be pleased that you are getting these reminders, because it's so easy to forget. You know, so these things do happen. And therefore, for me, instead of cursing the employer for disturbing us and for sending unnecessary reminders, I think we should be pleased that at least they care enough for the living and letting you know that something ought to be done, so that you don't lay to a situation where the employer have to tell you to go home. Your livelihood is going to go away. It's going to be taken away from you. And therefore, I think it's very, very important that we bear in mind. So these guys, they got arrested. 9 of them. 1 of them Ghanaian, 1 of them Pakistani, 7 of them are Indian nationals. Nobody knows what's going to happen. So it's very, very important that you make sure that you regularize your stay at all times. If your visa is due for renewal, don't just sit there for last minute. You know, some people, for example, their visas will be expiring on the 13th. On the 13th, they go and see their lawyers to renew their visas. That is very, very dangerous. Imagine you go to the lawyer's office and the lawyer is not there, or the lawyer is not available. Let's not assume the world that we live in revolves around us. No, because your plan is not another man's plan. Your emergency is not my emergency. And therefore, if you wait till this last minute and you rush to see a lawyer and the lawyer is not available, or even if he's available and he's also attending to another emergency, where does this put you? Those people who are lastminute.com, who like formatting and .comming, it's very, very important that we plan ahead so that we can avoid disappointment. I remember on Friday or Thursday, this gentleman from anyway, I'm not going to mention the name. He waited and waited and waited, and then he's trying to call me and give me commands that if I don't hear from you by 2 o'clock, I'm going to see another lawyer. At that point, I had to tell him to go and see another lawyer because I was also attending another emergency. So his emergency is not more important than the emergency that I was also attending to. You see the problems that it can cause. And now, you are having to go and face another lawyer that you don't know. So if the lawyer is not as good as justice and law solicitors, the person is going to come back with tears. Who loses out? Because the money that you pay to the person, you're not going to get a refund. The stress that you will go through to see that person, and the challenges and the difficulties that a person may have in concluding the application forms, and then taking over the case and doing whatever needs to be done to put you in a position, that is going to be very challenging, for the person. But at the same time, we wait to see, and you can only wish the person the best. But if I had the resources to do it, I would have done it. But the reality, I've also got another emergency, which I am committed to. So you cannot just come and crash the door and expect it to open, especially if there are enforcements. You see, so those of us who tend to leave things last minute, I beg, let's try and, think ahead of time. Let's try and put our stuff together on time. All my clients, I always tell them, get in touch 2 months before the time is even up, so that just in case there are some challenges or difficulties, then we can then resolve it before the visa expires. And, hold and behold, I would say about 98% of my clients heed to this advice. And as a result, most of them are stress-free because they listen to the advice and they follow the instructions. And when you follow instructions and you listen to advice, believe in me, it's going to be success and nothing else but success. So we thank you for listening to us and for following our advice. 2, that I would also like to mention is what we call the UK government is now considering reducing the minimum salary requirement for skilled workers. At the moment, the salary requirement, the standard rate is 41,700 per year. Now the government has realized that this amount perhaps is too much. And therefore, people that we are supposed to attract to come to the United Kingdom to join the workforce, to ensure that our GDP grows. GDP, gross domestic product, grows. It's not happening. So from the advice from the Migration Advisory Committee, the government has been advised to try and bring these figures down in order to attract the best to the United Kingdom to work and contribute to the UK growth. We'll bring you some more information as soon as there are further developments in this respect. So in terms of the major updates, these are the two main areas that I think we need to be aware of and basically know. Now, we're going to the main topic or topics of today. I'm going to show you this. And I know that on the TikTok, some people have already made some commentary about this case. And I've come across so many video clips. People have actually started jumping, thinking that it's that simple and it's that easy. But Lawyer Darko, as I always say, I'm the type of person, you see, that I will tell you the truth, even if you don't like it. I stand by the truth. And for me, I will die by it. Oh yes? If I had to tell you the truth and for you to be angry with me, expect nothing else, because that's exactly what I will say. Someone say that there is a difference between believing and knowing. Believing is a lie. Because if you look at the word believe, it's B-E-L-I-E. That is what? Lie. B, lie. And then V-E, believe. Knowing is knowledgeable. Knowing is the truth because it can be proven. And therefore it is important that I teach you to know. I don't come here to talk so that you believe. I come here to talk so that you acquire yourself with the knowledge, no shadow of a doubt. That is the reason why Justice and Law Solicitors, we speak the truth. We speak the truth and nothing else but the truth. Very, very important. We speak the truth. And therefore, this is what we do. We are going to go through the case law so that you understand and know exactly what happened in that case. And also, if you're a skilled worker and your employer is taking advantage, is taking the biscuit out of you, then you understand the legal position and the steps that you can also take to get a remedy or to get paid accordingly. I've come across, like I said, so many kind of clips on the TikTok and social media where people have just given it a very, very, very basic summary. As if it's that so simple, so easy, that someone employs you, the person is not paying you, or the person is paying you less, and you take the person to court and you win your case. That is how it has been presented. But we all know that life is one big road and there are full of signs. When you hit the rut, like they say, don't complicate your mind. We are going to look at this in a very, very simplistic way, but yet very, very, very detailed way, so that we can all understand this and know the criteria in which you need to be able to tick all the boxes that you need to tick in order to be able to bring a successful claim. So I'm showing you this. As you can see, this is a court decision or promulgation. Employment Tribunal ET case. And it's a case, the claimant is called Mr. S. Shaji. And the respondent, which is the defendant, Swan Care Solutions Limited. And this is a case that was listed at Birmingham Employment Tribunal. And this case went on for 2 days, from 2nd of March to 4th of March 2026. The claimant was represented by Mr. R. Anderson Counsel, and the respondent, which is Swan Care Solutions Limited, by Mr. N. Tudor Radu, a senior litigant consultant. This is the case that went before the tribunal. However, to get a better understanding of this case, I will give you a bit of a history and the background and the issues that was before the tribunal. Because if I take my time and perhaps go through the case, it will help all of us to get a better understanding about those skilled workers who are in the United Kingdom under certificate of sponsorship, who are facing similar challenges. You see, we hear a lot of stories. People are working, not being paid. People are ready, willing, and able to work, not being given the contractual hours to work. In this case, what do? Do you pack up and go back to Bangladesh? Or you pack up and go back to Ghana? Or perhaps you pack up and go to Zimbabwe? Or you pack up and go to Jamaica? Or perhaps Afghanistan, Jalalabad? Or perhaps you go to Pakistan? Or perhaps you go to New Zealand, Australia? Or Papua New Guinea? Or you go back to Russia? This is for you today. This case, the claimant is an Indian citizen who came to the United Kingdom under a certificate of sponsorship, which named the respondent, that is Swan Care Solutions Limited, as his employer. He complained to the tribunal that he had been made an offer of employment, which he had accepted. And he came to the United Kingdom ready, able, and willing to complete the role. He says that the respondent did not provide him work and never paid him, and claims that this amounted to an unauthorized deduction from wages, among other things. ACAS early conciliation commenced on 1st of December 2023 and ended on 2023, with the claim form being presented to the tribunal on the 18th of December 2023. The claims and the issues that came before the tribunal are as follows. The question that the tribunal had to answer, one, was whether the claimant was an employee of the respondent within the meaning of Section 230 of the Employment Rights Act of 1996. And if so, what were the dates of employment. You see, so to go to the employment tribunal and make such a claim about unlawful deduction of wages, then you must be an employee. Many a times people find it easy, oh, but I'm employed by this company, but I'm employed by this company. When there is a problem, that is where your status as an employee, self-employed, service worker, and so on and so forth becomes crucial, because that will determine your rights. So in this case, it was very, very clear that this individual was what? Was an employee. How do you know whether someone is an employee or not? For someone to become an employee, the individual must have an employment contract, for example. Not only that, the individual must not have control of what he does, i.e., he needs to be told what he must do. So you must have your boss telling you, dictating for you, your tools that you use to work. The employer must provide you with the tools that you are going to use to work. And the better still, you must have an employment contract that sets out your right as an employee and also your obligations as your employee. So if these things are present, then one can safely conclude that you fall within the definition of an employee under Section 230 of the Employment Rights Act of 1996. So in this case, the tribunal was able to determine that Mr. Shaji was what? Was an employee. If so, what were the days of employment? So your employment contract 9.9 out of 10 will tell you when your employment commences. So the evidence will be there. The question, therefore, is when the tribunal established that he was an employee, then the next question was time limit. Because in this country, there was a case, Henderson and Henderson. It says that litigation must come to an end. And for that reason, whether you can bring a claim or not, there are time limits that you also need to be conscious of. And normally, as far as employment law is concerned, the time limit commences or the clock starts ticking from the day that you became aware of the breach. Oh yeah? So if you don't take action within the time limit and it expires, even though you can plead to the tribunal to allow you to file your claim out of time, but you must give reasonable good reasons as to why you should be given the exception. Very, very important. Very, very crucial. So, in this case, the court said that given the date on the claim form was presented and the date of early reconciliation, any complaint about something that happened before 1st of September 2023 may not have been brought in time. Were the claims made within the time limits in the Employment Rights Act of 1996, then the tribunal will have to decide whether the claim was made within 3 months, plus early conciliation extension of the act complained of. So here what it means is, if you are going to bring a claim for unlawful deduction of wages, you must do so within 3 months from the time that the breach occurred. However, if you are unable to bring it within time, and you got ACAS involved within that 3 months, the time will be extended until such time that ACAS conclude its mediation. So the tribunal then have to look at it, whether it was brought on time. And if it was not brought on time, the test is Was it reasonable, practicable for the claim to be made to the tribunal within the time limit? If it was so reasonably practicable for the claim to be made to the tribunal within the time limit, was it made within a reasonable period? So this is what the court will look at. Despite the strict deadlines, the court has a discretion. As long as you can convince the court that it was brought within a reasonable time. It was not brought within the time limit because of A, B, C, D, E. One example would be an ACAS intervention. So, on an assumption that you brought the claim on time within the 3 months from the date of the breach, then, of course, you could perhaps go to the tribunal and claim unlawful deduction of wages. As we know in this country, as it has been established that you are an employee, you'll be entitled to holidays. So if you haven't been paid, then you can bring a claim for non-payment of holidays. Unauthorized deduction of your wages. If, for example, the employer, you are willing, able, and prepared to work, and they don't give you the hours, and yet they are not paying you. As an employee, you could bring a claim for unlawful deduction of wages, non-payment of holiday pay, and so on and so forth. So in this case, even though the claim was brought out of time, the judge was able to look at Mr. Shaji's circumstances, where at times he was ill, he had to go back to his country, India, came back to the UK, ill health, and all this contributed in his inability to bring the claim within the 3 months. The court accepted his argument, and the court allowed him to bring the claim and proceed with the hearing. At the end, he won a compensation. On top of my head, it was nearly, I think it was nearly £20,000 against Swan Solutions Care Limited. So this case, I would say, has opened the floodgates for our brothers and sisters, those people going through the pain of being brought to Babylon and be exploited. Many of these people don't have a say. Many of these people are broke to the core. They don't have a peso even to afford to pay a lawyer to take on their cases. Justice and law solicitors, like we say, we don't come to bow and we don't compromise to no one, to anyone. We are here to speak the truth. And if the truth means that we have to go through the trenches, that is what we will do. This is Justice and Law Solicitors. We believe in justice because we believe that through justice, we can achieve equality, we can achieve, we can achieve justice. So, Mr. Shaji, what it tells us, that if you're a skilled worker, you've been brought to the United Kingdom, in this particular case, there's no qualifying period. If it's unlawful deduction of wages from the day that it occurred, make sure that you bring your claim within 3 months. Within 3 months, in order to avoid any delay, to avoid any allegation and accusation of bringing a claim out of time. So what you do is, in order to take a case to Employment Tribunal, of course, you have to go through ACAS for mediation first. That is the rule. So you get in touch with ACAS, go to their website and put in a complaint that you intend to bring proceedings against company ABCD for unlawful deduction of wages. I've come from Emma Mpehia in the Republic of Ghana. I'm the first one in the family to travel to Babylon. I've been working for company A and B and C. They brought me all the way from the deep jungle to the concrete jungle. And now I am stranded. They are not giving me work, even though I am willing, able, and prepared to work. They promised me that at least I will get 40 hours a week. I'm going to get paid £2,200 a month. I've been here for 2 months. They are denying me the job, and therefore I am not working. If you fall within this kind of scenario, brothers and sisters, the case of Swan Solutions Care Limited, the case of Mr. Shaji, tells us that you should be able to bring a claim, notwithstanding the fact that you haven't been working for the employer for more than 2 years, because this has got nothing to do with unfair dismissal, constructive dismissal, or wrongful dismissal. That is where you have a qualifying period of 2 years. But from January 2027, all this nonsense about qualifying period will be thrown out of the way. And from day one that you start working for someone, you can bring a claim for unfair dismissal, wrongful dismissal, and possibly constructive dismissal. So from 2027, it's going to be brutal for these dodgy employers who are just spinning and basically exploiting innocent souls. We thought we come out of slavery, but this is modern day slavery. This is called scientific slavery, where you are not in chains. You are born free, but yet you are in mental chains. So therefore, the case of Shaji tells us that you could bring a claim for unlawful deduction of wages, holiday pay, and so on and so forth, if your employer is refusing to give you the contracted hours that he or she promised. So this is for you. I've said this for you to have an idea, so that when you are contemplating of bringing a claim, you have an idea. The forms to complete is ET1, Employment Tribunal 1, that you can complete. You can do it online. The form is fairly straightforward, and if you're in that situation, you can do it yourself. In an event that you want a cuckoo down, like Justice and Law Solicitors to lead the case, by all means get in touch. Our number is 0207 993 5976 or 0758 939 0753 969 It's Justice and Law Solicitors, or you can go to our website www.justiceandlawsolicitors.com. You can do that and get in touch with us, and we will then take it from there. Right. Okay. So that is what I have for you in relation to the employment angle of the program today. The next area that I would like to touch before we take a break, and then after that we will come back to continue with the interview, mastering the interview skills. The next area that I would like to talk about for the next 5-10 minutes will be spousal applications. Spousal applications. Many a times I've come across so many people in the UK. They came with a visa, their visas are expired. I've also come across people who entered the UK illegally, and subsequently they have found their matches, i.e. saying their partners, or they come across someone that they say they are interested in, that, you know, marriage is on the cards, and that, you know, the spouse or the British national or the person with indefinite leave or British passport is happy, willing, and able to sponsor the partner's application, even though the partner may have overstayed his visa, entered the UK illegally, etc., etc. The question is, or as we all know, that once you overstay your visa in the United Kingdom, the rules makes it very clear, especially under part suitability of the immigration rules. It makes it so clear that anyone who has overstayed their visa or you entered the UK illegal, when they make an application for leave to remain under the normal circumstances, the application must be refused. That is the general rule. But Home Office have a discretion, you see, that they can waive that and perhaps treat the application outside of the immigration rules. But I would say 9 out of 10 such applications get refused. Simple, period. And therefore, people may have to think about going home, getting married over there, and then to apply to come back in a proper channel. But last year, back in November, Home Office made some changes. At first, it used to come under paragraph 9 of the immigration rules, which was incorporated into paragraph appendix, which was incorporated into part suitability of the immigration rules. And it says it very, very clearly that if you enter the UK illegal or you have overstayed, any application that you submit must be refused. So when you come to see Lawyer Dark and he's telling you to do, you need to go back home to apply to come back in, and he's sitting there saying that must be refused, why should I go home? Confused? Now let's look at the exemption within the rules. One of the exemptions says that if you breach the rules when you were under 18 and you are now 18 or over, you must not be blamed for the sins of your father, for the sins of the iniquities of the ghetto people. And therefore, the evil that people do, the innocent person must not suffer as a result. But those who did the crime must pay the cost and the price. That is what the law says. So if your parents allowed you to break the rules, whilst you were a child, why should you suffer as a result of your parents' sins? If you are not prepared to get punished, don't commit the crime. Some punishment are forever, eternal punishment. Some punishment are temporary. So for immigration, you the parent, you are responsible for the status of your children. Just this week, I posted one on Justice and Law TikTok page book, where children as young as 4, 7 are being given a letter by the Home Office to leave their country because of the sins of their fathers and their parents, sometimes. So the reality is that the rule says that once you overstay, when you go back, you must not be allowed to come in. However, some of the exceptions are as follows. And listen to this. Listen very carefully. It will help you. If you breach the rules whilst a minor, then of course, Home Office rule says that it must not be used against you. Or you were living in the United Kingdom illegally, or you overstayed. Then what must happen is that you have to leave the United Kingdom at your own cost, at your own free will, and you submit an application under Appendix FM of the immigration rules. Under those circumstances, then you should be granted an entry clearance. So far, Justice and Law, God has been so good to us. Through sweat and tears, these little hands are not made or were not made to cause havoc. They were made to find solutions, real solutions to people's problems. This head and the brain and the mind was not made to plot evil, but to think and find solutions to people's problems. And that is what we do best. So I had my first challenge. This individual came to see me, and I said, no, under the circumstances, you have to go home. Like I always assure all my clients, when you are leaving, oh boy, when you are leaving the United Kingdom, my reputation is also on the line. And therefore, for me, it's important that I check and cross-check just to make sure that you are safe to return. So we put in one application. Despite all our effort, the caseworker made a mistake. What mistake did he do? He made a mistake by refusing the application, stating that the individual had broke UK immigration rules whilst in the United Kingdom by overstaying. So the conundrum was to appeal against the decision, or was to try and do resubmission. So then I had to sit down with the client and explain the pros and the cons of an appeal. The time limit, when the case goes to court, it can take forever. These days, people have been waiting for over 1 year. They are still waiting for a date for the hearing. So, what did I do? We pushed for another application. And on the second application, we printed the Home Office guidelines and the rules to make it easy for the caseworker. And I'm telling you this, within the week, the application has been successful. So the caseworker who made the first decision clearly made a mistake. We had to point it out. Why it is a mistake? Within the law, there are exceptions. And within their own guidelines issued to caseworkers in 2026, the person made a mistake. So I'm glad and I thank God that that record is still intact. Justice and law solicitors, I say to you, not even one soul has followed us and gone back home and has never returned. That is the reason why I say we have faith in what we do. We believe in what we do. We don't come to bow, we come to conquer. And regardless of what the situation may be when it comes to immigration and nationality law, I am proud to say that justice and law is one of the best in the field. That one, no doubt about it. You know? So all that we can do is to do our best for people and those who have entrusted us to do a job for them. We will do the best that we can to ensure that they achieve their objectives. So justice and law solicitors, like I say, we are the solution to your legal problems. We will take a commercial break, or we will take a break, get some water to drink, and then when we come back, the act of mastering immigration interview. Don't touch the dial. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. We're going to play you this sweet tune. And then when we come back, we continue the program. Yeah, thank you very much. Let's continue on the program. Well, okay. Yeah. Okay. Just put some fire into this one. All right. So let's continue on the program. Now we are going to be talking about interviews. Bear with me. I just realized that the power is going very, very low. Yes, now let's look at the interviews. As we all know, UK Border Agency uses an interview arguably as a tool to work out the genuineness or the genuineness of an application. And the interview can take place in all sorts of visa applications because it's their job. And sometimes they may call for an interview because they may suspect that something is not right. Or sometimes they may ask for an interview simply because they have an intelligence. Or sometimes they need clarification on documents or the information provided. And as a result, they may ask for an interview. The question, therefore, is how do you prepare for an interview? When people ask this question, I always answer by saying that how do you prepare for an examination? You see, it's not easy to say that this is the best way to prepare or this is the best way to get ready. All that I say to people is be yourself. Be truthful to yourself and to be honest to yourself and say that, you know, how do I prepare? What is the best way to prepare for this? Because there isn't an easy way to prepare. It takes a lot of dedication, hard work, and grit. It's just like life. If you want to do the right thing, yeah, it takes commitment. If you want to succeed, you have an ambition, you work towards it. Them are the times that manners will fall from heaven. If you want to jump from A to B, you work hard. You make sacrifices. You break your back to get it. You don't lazy about and make things happen for you. You have to work hard to achieve it. You know, so it's very, very important that if you are going to go for an interview, you don't just sit there thinking that it's simply going to come to you. You have to work hard. And how do you work out? How do you prepare for it? What are the things that you need to do that can help you to basically to do a successful interview? So today we are going to be looking at some of the questions that people have been asked, and we will look at sometimes the best way to respond to these. At times, people are asked a question and they don't answer, though they are talking, but they are not answering the question. And sometimes it's funny, the way people answer questions, because you ask them a simple question and someone will say, you go on a fishing expedition. It's like you are trying to catch fish. Because you don't know where the fishes are, you try your luck and you just put the rope anywhere with the hope that you can catch something. So it's very, very important that you have an idea when you are going for an immigration interview. I was going to limit it to spousal applications, but I will do the best that I can and expand it as much as I can, because maybe someone has been called for an interview, he hasn't done, it's not a spousal application, and the person is thinking, what is it that I need to do? So I am going to be looking at, from broad aspect, broadly speaking, how these interviews are conducted and how to answer some of these questions, because sometimes people get confused about the question and therefore they end up giving wrong answers or not answering the questions at all, so we are going to be looking at that today. And then after that, we will open the telephone lines for people to call in and ask questions that they may have. 1 o'clock sharp, we bring the program to an end, because we've got other business that we need to attend to, if you know what I mean. So please do the best that you can, call in at the right time, and then we can answer your questions for you. If you call in after the show, you will not be able to reach me. That one, I need to make it very, very clear, because despite everything that we say, people will still call after the show. And after that, we move on to something else, like they say, even the sea, when it rains, it makes room for more water. So all that I say is that, we've got other things that we must also do, other engagements, and I beg, if you call and you don't get me, don't abuse me, or Charlie, don't abuse me, because from work, we also go live, and therefore other life that we must lead. We got social life, we got family responsibilities that we also have to take care of. So it's not about work 24/7. You can't do that. Sometimes human beings, we need to switch off from our daily activities and do something else. Yeah, so that is how it is. So like I said, interview is one of the mechanisms that the Home Office can use to fish out whether someone is making a valid and genuine application or not. So most of the interviews, Home Office will look at the nature of the application that the person has submitted. They will look at relationship history. They will look like if it's a marriage interview questions, financial and employment questions, living arrangements and future plans for the parties, spouse interviews, success tips. I mean, basically, what the interview is about. So, for example, like any interview, the interviewer would like to know whether you have an idea of what you are doing. So, for example, if
Francis.
So the interviewer may ask, whether you are well, which is just, pleasantries. And then once, you introduce each other, you understand each other, and you go to the interview itself, they may ask questions about, the application that you have submitted. So before you go to any interview, make sure that the application forms becomes your Bible. You need to know what is in the application forms. The supporting documents. It's very, very, very important that you also know all the supporting documents that have been submitted on your behalf and the content of those documents. So, for example, when you are submitting spousal applications or skilled worker applications, you will include something called the COS, Certificate of Sponsorship. And the Certificate of Sponsorship contains so much information about your employment and about the company. And also about you yourself, your address, when you are starting work, the contract, whether it's 2 years, 5 years, 3 years, whatever, and the employer, your wages per annum, and whether maintenance is provided or not. So these are the basic information that you must know about your COS. In terms of marriage, of course, you would include your wife's payslip bank statement or your husband's payslip bank statement, employer's letter. That will show you the job title, where he's working, when he started working there, his monthly wages, and so on and so forth. This is something that you must know. Because someone that you are married to, you are coming to join the person, and you don't know this basic information about them, then that means you don't talk to each other, or your relationship is not strong. So we need to, watch out for this. All right. So then we also look at family history. When it's marital application, you look at family history. Whether you've been married before, whether you are divorced, whether you have any children, the same thing goes for your partner. The same thing applies to your partner. So it's very, very important that we pay attention to this. Then you come about your relationship history. When you met, when you started your relationship, place that you met, who was there first, who met who, and how many times have you met, why did you decide to get married, who proposed, and so on and so forth. So these are some of the basic things that they will also come across in terms of marriage interviews based on, from our observations and from our research. If you're a skilled worker, then again, your line manager, where you work and where you are going to be working, the company, a bit of a research about the company, when it was established, who is the manager now, who is the owner now, and whether it's a limited company, limited liability company, private company, limited by shares, and so on and so forth. So these are basic information that they expect that you should know. So it's very, very important that you know these things. Also, your role, exactly what you're coming to do for the organization. You cannot tell me that you are coming to work for company ABC, and when they ask you for your role, you don't know. They will discuss it later. Meanwhile, it's on your certificate of sponsorship about your role that you are coming to play. So if you say you don't know it, then you don't know how you got your certificate of sponsorship, which is not good. So it's important that we are aware of some of these things. Then you look at finances when the person is working, and how much the person gets. How do you communicate, especially for spousal applications? It's very, very important that you know how you communicate. In terms of skilled worker visa, how did you get a job? So the process of getting the job, the interview process, the appointment, and everything you need to know and go through. Who interviewed you? If you have to certain exams, how do you do the exams? If you interview, who interviewed you? All this stuff is something that, if it's genuine, you should be able to say it without any sweat. Future plans If it's a marriage application, of course, parties will have discussed about their future during the course of their relationship. And when they say there are no future plans, once again, it's alarm bell. You start thinking, what on earth are you talking about? No one will believe you if you say you don't have any conversation about your future. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to relationship, one of the bedrock of relationship is being able to produce, having children as a result of the relationship. I'm not saying that everyone wants children, but majority of people, they will not go and pay for problem or trouble if it's going to bear no fruit, you know. So therefore, they will make sure that, you know, there has been a discussion in this respect, in this regard. So it's very, very, very important. All right. So I'm going to mention this and then bring the program to an end. British nationality for children. Once again, I will employ everyone and anyone who is got a child born in the United Kingdom or a child that qualifies for British citizenship to apply without further delay, because things are getting hotter and hotter. So I would say strike whilst the iron is hot. Don't wait until it's too late. Now, how do we know if someone's child is British? We start from British Nationality Act 1981, Section 1(3). That is when parent becomes British settled or a member of the armed forces. That is if a child is born, the child will not automatically become British unless the child's parent is British or settled or member of the armed forces. Section 1(4), children born in the UK with 10 years residency. Section 3(2) and Section 3(5), born abroad to a parent who is British by descent. Section 4(d), born abroad to a parent who is a member of the armed forces. Section 3(1), registration at the Home Secretary's discretion. So that is all that you need to know about children's application. No matter what, they may fit into any one of these categories that I have mentioned. So it's 30 past 12. I will bring the program to an end, and then we will then start taking phone calls. All right, so now we will activate the telephone lines. If you have any question, by all means, you can call in. The number is 07538 969 589. You can also, if you're on TikTok, you can send an invite, and we will then also accept the invite and enable you to talk. So by all means, we have now activated the telephone lines. We've got only 30 minutes for you today to call in. So by all means, if you wanna, you know, hello.
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
What is your name and what can we do for you today?
My name is Daniel Danirenchi.
Daniel Enchi, what do you have for us this afternoon?
What I have is just to say congratulations.
Why have
Congratulations.
have I won the lottery? If I win the lottery, congratulate me. Me, I'm all for money. Oh, Sika. Me, pesca se libya. Okay.
What you want to discover?
You my penty Sika beba. Oh, happy. Patrick, just my way.
And you depend on the Chicago goose, or Yankupon the Bishop goose. Aye, will no crane will do my dainty. Unyami Bishrow.
Amen.
Once a finder. Oh, man, cons a finder.
You really saw.
Yeah, why ye? Aye, we were doing number Jamacho, I can't do me cover chacon of a vintage.
Okay, and you reach out no alcohol. Why? Yes, sir.
Man, yet that time we have in your view.
I am a curry. Yeah, there was a power for your patience. It drew a be a conani and easy. Name Unya Kukudro. Now, say Santo win. I have to win. I'm going to win. Now, remember that them because the Obeka, do be project, you know. And then a bow. Now, if we are seeing yet one. Obia yami and obia so yebon sam de obeka no eno ne bedi wani enti ya so tewa fa dwempa ne fanante ne fatu anamo na do be ye bia no ebe ye nhira no be ye nhira and no be ye nhira enti miss me that was a power for your patience and talk we nye easy nearly 2 years fight what the boha now why what the boha now why what the boha now why miss talk way me menya something ya starting to kwemu no me twa so da ye be ko am ye tiati enso nyanya da roma ye bre anye kwa obre anye kwa ye dru Jerusalem de ahwehwe ne yensa sana etie
now what you said na obedru ha nti odru ha no no a begina phone so can do what
enough for more. Enough for
what kind of stress or the amma war any man
and you the vote to share you crow one more no what one na just eje go so na de abufu kra ni say obi tinchin a o se na da be na abeko onu so on so ma no o top pressure ma e asem na be re dey ya de yam yase pa
ya ko din kunim
Amen. Hello. Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Nyamia drum me o vim me ho ye pa. Vim bi ayi Allah wallahi kajiko na ni. Yango.
Question me la person bisa.
Kwada o.
Apacho, me papi na bae na.
Obacho so from Gakra.
Seriously ya no mo de bae. Ni say aka next month na omuta naso.
Ish.
Nti omo bae no so no mo ade serious no say ye revoke omo license na ade. Nti se ya wonya switch na a long process. Nti na me ne nipa ogwa na mananya switch no. O say sanka bit ma twele tama fikese for say bia omo man extension na. Because only dependent. Say, first applicant in the number of the Tiapa. And also, applicant also yes, switch. I mean, that we are aware of me per switch. Now, me banana switch no, switch no, I saw English test, not the day. Until I see because be a bit my home office, I'm an extension there 2 months there. But I can know we English test, Naka. But my switch, I'm saying, Frebisa.
I mean, there's so business question way. Now, I was a for year careful. Home Office, any policy, another application be our honoma. Ombema why you say, ye grant you temporary leave until such time that you get your paperwork ready to be able to make application to switch into another category. And you're not there, very, very, very clear on that. Dear Ebimaye. unfortunately we be home me kind of correction na nye ne de okohu okama for fufuro Emma okama for ni di ni kodi aduru kra no nim se dia kodi aduru. Well look, and she was happy to pay £3,500 to go and chop medicine. Chop medicine is so enye bia paracetamol kra o eye chalk and e dia man say paracetamol ama sisi anu akwa sa be si nechi so ni sika so akwa akoshi enti eni anu ye nye careful ye ni bibia wo ha ye friend is switch ye friend is a waiting application na mom aha na say crofo sa ye careful. There are certain applications oya and no ye free BB extant leave. Extant leave they say your visa is deemed to be extended. Now any application bia oya ana wunya sa extant leave no under section 3C. Enti so be kwaye human rights application mawa no automatically it does not extend your visa. Enti enye careful o visa ni wu a ewu full stop. Until say Home Office are making decision and granting us our leave, unless after that in the you can switch. But oko switch is human rights application into application them into visa is deemed to be extended. I say the rules of variation says no. It's yenye careful. Nemom sabe. Yes, odunsini Edroni do de bema Nemom ahaban kro a okeka bom ebeye aduro a yede ma wo no nya de obekire wo enti besro pi se o pasum via e wo se oba chambers na lo ya dako ye hwehwe mu bia yaye ene nimdie bia yehu yetimi ye bibi ma wo se de ya de wo hwehwe no sabeka ejamba chwase base
just me friend but me try no me friend at me prof school last that was Thursday and I let me check some say set application be no was I say the bia onyo bi over one na say onyo bi until now I was very doubt na person me here one kasa na me say also the enya dia sabeka untino no my friend be say
na da ko mewu o say nya dia sabeka me down full Thomas we can doubt no men doubt so hosa David the mechanism o dey text me e wo number ya so me wie show na me fro aye kwan chen yentimi ndi nkomo wa because enyo obi a o hwe bia na pay you obi wa wo bem so na otu botom enti ahwe yie eso so die nipa wa no ya ahwe yie me lo adako enkrofo be say etimehwe omodo so but omoboa I'm fantastic. So you see, anybody be some part of it, and I win but I show you the last year, wouldn't say undercover investigator about me so.
Last year,
Massa, me see a juma way, nyame. I'm telling you, any empire bar and before a didimechi because me whom make it tameno. Any and before bay, any or more spirit out the tamechi, you know, and yet easy. Now, and maybe you know, cause a bay if you say a at the phone, bay say, while bay and Tom this spirit in our tamechi. And it may say, Bibi Besia, 9 out of 10, I see it before it happens. Obiane, Nadia, Yamedia Mano. So more, and you know, Sana eti. And you know, so far, it is so good, would offer me a beshisha so. I would say, we are met to now, but the office, until now, say, I did that now, but you said, we say, can until okay, and I'm okay, but I said that until we see until we are met to now. It's possible to power. I'll let Mama Mamma running now, but not the Obia. Okay, no problem at all. Why?
Michelle.
Yes, yeah, don't see.
Well, didn't I am say I can't be not a real moody into the end there. I won't get the other website.
Ah, baby, why? No shaking. Why? Bye bye. Hello? Hello?
Hello.
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you, Dr.
By His grace, I'm doing well. And how are you? Are you doing all right?
So you always want to slip my voice and you always want to speak different. Like, what do you mean that?
Because I'm speaking to a British lady, so we are trying to go to the same accent. Yeah, whoa. Ashton for Bessie, you whoa, Tafo.
Stop that.
Yes, British accent. Ewo Krom, Wadru. Mr. PC, Uria Banaba, or so Toka, or Toka and the Miajekwa. Aye. Ewo Krom,
Program you always want to listen it and listen it and listen it and listen it. That's what it means. Programming a programmer, in fact, is always touching my heart.
Yeah.
And I always want to listen and listen. Even though there are some guidelines and you may be and also so when you keep on listening to it, and also you learn something from it.
You learn every day, yes.
Yeah. And a friend of mine, you are always there for us.
Fantastic.
They say, we say, all the time. Do I also ever 1 o'clock I'm up on the go see or what? Put your shit. 1 o'clock, you're going to be 2 o'clock. Because I took a piano from when I did. You always want to have time for people.
Yes.
Especially when they want to ask something. You try to explain to them. Answer will be a call. Your friend will pass you with your power. Means that I did be an American, I did be then you always want to listen. Wouldn't mind, wouldn't tell you free. To me, so may throw in there, apple, basso, time limit, you always pay for us. Which is your mom, about by your mom, at 2 years, make a couple. If you walk around the end, they say, well, they're texting me, call me in chambers. Now, my woman's home to one baby. If you do it, they will make it to a view.
Safe pepe.
Will make it to a view. Now, my woman, dear papa, and we baby.
Safe pepe.
And okay, Anna. Then you didn't come up in a share, black boy, sassy, and sunny baby lawyer, dark, and son, and you might be a couple and say, hey, you're blue. Yeah, blue, but at the end of the day, there are today.
Yes.
Okasani Cassidy. Okasa young Comeco.
That's right.
A bit too beer. A bit too beer, when the grace for yeah, let's say, a bit more. Besides, I buy and your bread and your better.
And your better.
But near cheap, yeah. So too awful. Now, one from when you ran, you may be a new concern with the room. The room, the billionaire, you hot heart, we see, and the how back, we were only driving licenses, we could car, they are watching. San Romano, our train was flew. There be a catria who could tell you wouldn't and to and sing a maybe also. Obeba, Obi Benyaman, you would dear when you be.
Yes.
To the waffle. They say, Colonel, why you see?
Sape pepe.
I beg you. Lawyer, I beg you. Because you're buying it, near Chino. Say, somebody, the other come. You be free. Yeah, give me the shit.
Sa pepe.
The American say, Yami Beshe. Yami Beshe be a IMCC, but and yet they have be true. Oh, yeah. I mean, show me to my pa. We are near pa. The share work office Monday to Friday, Sunday, Saturday, our family, and Sunday, our way. I'm strong your time, mine 2 hours with devoting mine. Sometimes I 2 hours like wait me.
Yada was it. Yada was it. Yami Inshamin. Sape pepe, yes, pepper no, a si jatenu cry justice and law, Yabako Faba, Yinsuroshi. Yabaso de Niaba, Yanya say Yabano, Nayaba, Easemo, Allah, Yami, TikTok for an idiot, Mufanche wine, a TikTok no, a TikTok Yasemo, Yamre, TikToki, a hamagre, but you dear girl. Timmy Cockra, I want to open one on Wigo, and so I'm going to do one on Wigo. And my elbow someone to see, you know.
But sometimes, you know, I bet you never said the word now you see, you know, undercover investigation.
So,
yes, undercover investigator. Okay. Sometimes somebody do try as much as possible so the country when it's at the bank.
Okay, but
and the bit never said nothing on you free. So,
you cry, see a massive.
My restriction,
my many babbles on echo.
No, my restriction, and I bet you back next week.
Next week, meet me about.
Okay. It was need to how you so careful because AI it's a picky maybe.
Okay.
It's never be annoying careful. Me but me balance now last week me buy your move when you
says can you when will be discover you chasing it there?
Now patrol. One more thing you do make a be I do about there. That's a son of a friend. Me sister ba ko o ga na pesi ede ne ba.
Okay.
No, don't catch a worry like I think 8 years ago. Only you could go so and I am will be a cofanaba.
What do you mean like a song? Don't worry. Why?
Who say need divorce no, but I am still
my main phone number. Why?
Okay.
I probably see something for you. Okay.
Aye.
Okay, very good.
All right then, with that, Papa.
How you going change?
Mate.
Okay. Oh, sorry, your Facebook.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. Why?
Okay. Bye. TikTok for Nico, and you know, okay, let's see. Okay. Yenya line into store, Adrian will be a question. So, be any question there, not just say, you did you a dear no idea, Abbey, and to me the new FM, and tis a share, not say all questioner by all means, also beating me idea, Afre na Bubusa. Yes, nationality, naturalization for children. If the child is born in the United Kingdom and the child has resided in the UK for 10 years, you can make an application. If mom and dad do not have a stay, do not have settlement, do not have British passport, and the child is born, and subsequently they acquire indefinite leave to remain, British passport, citizenship, you can also naturalize the child. Or the child gets indefinite leave to remain, by himself or herself, he can still apply for British citizenship. So yeah. Hello, Patrone Kasei. George from Birmingham. George, what can we do for you? Did it between your mouth and area?
The semi-final said maybe a single parent. Now, the say, Nicofa will be free Ghana, but Juma Mayano and we keep fencing almost threshold of 29,000 a year, no, but me universal credit so time. Until a bit me universal credit, you know, supported their Bronia threshold in the show. Me and me annual we need about 26,000 a year. He said universal credit in the best of the and I may find out to say about which me I am.
Universal credit you cannot use it to count towards meeting the financial requirement. There are other benefits with medical financial requirement, such as disability living allowance, carers allowance, Sakasabina OJDR, and habit media account. But universal credit in itself, a means tested. And a means tested, unfortunately, the rules do not allow you to add it on top of your wages to meet the financial requirement. And the only other way to resolve this problem is if you have a part-time be account. Now part-time sick and why you for 6 months. Now what they account your existing job now, I'm pretty sure it will be enough to cover the financial requirement. Let's just say from what you are doing, OJ say about 2,200 gross salary per month. And he say when you when your key job will be currently 2 hours and I say 3 hours. Now month which means about 300 francs. 300 plus 2,200, that will give you 2,500, if I'm not mistaken. The requirement, if you're 29,000 now, now we're breaking it down. You are looking at about 2,614 pounds before tax per month. And the calculation I'm here earlier on, and reach it, but so we become on it reach 2,614 before taxes and national insurance for the 2 jobs now, you'll be okay. And I want to be so concentrating now with me in your financial requirement for at least 6 months. When you're 6 months in India, you do the application, you get her in. Obana said you are no better swap. Ono so nya adwuma ni bi enti kakra betimi ne kakra so betimi aye no edu extension na modi boma e was say eye at least 29,000 na just say tell you also etimi dey renew the visa no why that's it. Bye bye for now. Every day, every night. Every day, every night. Yes, it's here for MSA Yeri Jumani Beba Nevi. About 2 minutes to 1. And you know, I'm saying TikTok for your cat or more. And you know, Yamuntini and the program. Yami Adoma next week, Yabesai Abibiem. Eno for sure, baby, I will be a church and a Obi Biara, Utimi Tune, Biano, do amount qua a fear, ye church, Yadama Sesebutini in, Michael Ama, Mr. PC, also so ye church, baby, I will Biara, Sasona, Obi Biara meant to be a moody, Biamon Fanchamini, did also, Bernard Kujo, hey, yes, sir, I'll be, Bibiora Kodoboko, yeah. And you know, Winana, no, Yadame Edamasi. About one, Esiako, na Yako pay 1 or 2 be na you see me na a name agree and immediate a dawson. I see a cassie dear Chidia, and in your say, Yeda, or 2 paper, maybe I will be a church. A tier 4, your door for your town for me, a church. Yakupon Enshra, ya dofu, no coso Enshra woman, your town for us, Yakupon, and change your life. Now, change your marjorie, no sooner may yadofu. Because home show me no, that could be by bomb pay to Nina, every omu. And here we are in Yankopon, that was it, said the soul in our chair. Yet the Munina was it, a church of Munina. Ye caught Yamea Duma, Yabesai day, Yabesai Abba next week. A 3 empty, yes, in nice one. I've been a waha. Hoya!
Anybody